The scent of damp stone, rust, and stale straw clung to Ned Stark's nostrils, as though Winterfell's godswood had never existed, as though summer snows had drifted down to bury every memory before he could reach for it. He lay on his side upon the cell's uneven floor, wrists chafed raw where iron had bruised them, throat aching from hoarse prayers whispered into darkness. Once, he had believed there could be honor even in defeat, that a man might bend without breaking like ice grown supple under the spring sun. But honor alone had not been enough. He listened, always listened. Footsteps in the corridor beyond his cell door told him when the Lannister guards changed shift, told him when they lingered too long gossiping, told him when the wine took stronger hold than duty. Footsteps carried secrets many tongues never voiced. Eddard counted them against the beating of his heart, etched their rhythm deep, until he could recite the pattern as surely as the words of the old god's prayers. Some nights he dreamed of godswood leaves fluttering red against gray sky, of children's laughter echoing from ramparts still dusted with frost. More often he woke to the creak of hinges and the hiss of torchy flames snatching breath from air. On those nights, Varys slipped inside. The spider spoke in honeyed tones, words spun like silk between bare walls, careful never to disturb the scurrying rats that served as their only witnesses. Tonight, Varys came again. The eunuch's slippers whispered, soft as winter moths against stone. He wore a plain brown robe, one of a dozen disguises that fit his frame as skin fits flesh, and in his pale hands he carried a small glass phial stoppered with blue wax. "Lord Eddard," he murmured, half bow, half apology, "I bring the painkiller you requested. The jailer believes you feverish." "A convenient fever," Ned rasped. "Did he need persuading?" "He asked only for coin, which I provided. Many men in King's Landing will part with their doubts more cheaply than their purses." Varys knelt, pressing the phial into Ned's fingers. A draught of dream wine laced with essence of nightshade. "You will sleep deeply, and appear to perish." The cell torchlight flickered across Ned's knuckles, making knotted veins dance like river reeds in current. "Appear?" Varys' lips twitched. "To save your daughters, my lord, you pledged confession. King Joffrey craves spectacle. A captive Lord Father publicly recanting treason, then dying of sudden sickness. It satisfies his cruelty, yet spares you the blade. When the hour of execution comes, Ser Ilyn's sword will fall upon a body already lifeless, or so they shall believe." Ned turned the phial beneath his thumb. The liquid inside shimmered violet, dark as bruised clover beneath twilight frost. To drink was to trust the spider, to trust that his corpse would not become another grisly trophy adorning the Red Keep's ramparts. Yet what else remained? He had failed Sansa, failed Arya, failed every promise sworn in the Godswood's shade. In this draught lay a sliver of chance, bitter but sharp enough to cut new paths. "Will my daughters be spared?" "It is arranged," Varys said, voice thinning. "Sansa will remain hostage, outwardly, yet unmolested if you are thought dead. Arya, your water dancer friend, still guards her. She flees tonight. Your lordship's demise will weaken the net cast for her." Ned closed his eyes. In darkness he saw Lyanna's hand slipping from his, saw Robert's smile fade beside a bier crowned with roses, saw children clapping wooden swords against Winterfell's training yard fences. He did not see his own death, only the long corridor of duty turning beneath unseen torches. He uncorked the phial. The scent was sharp, sweet, laced with almond and ash. "You ask, I trust you. I ask that you trust need itself," Varys replied. "When the play is ended, you will not wake here." "So be it." Ned raised the glass. The liquid burned the cuts upon his lip, slid cold down his throat, and the world shuddered sideways, heavy as an avalanche breaking loose. The roar of a crowd rolled over Beeler's sept like surf pounding broken walls. Ned, limp upon the cart, felt waves of heat prickle his eyelids. His senses drifted half-anchored. The clang of city bells, the tang of river fog mingled with pitch smoke. The stench of unwashed peasants pressed shoulder to shoulder for a glimpse of a fallen hand. He dared not open his eyes. The dream wine bound him tight, its mist swirling around every nerve. Yet through the mist he felt the cart lurch to a halt. Trumpets blared. Sir Ilan Payne's boots struck marble steps. 1, 2, 3. Voices chanted, "Traitor." Voices that once had hailed him savior. Ned tried to stir, but the numbness gripped him. His fingers refused. Above the chant thundered King Joffrey's shrill glee. "Bring forth the sentence," the boy king cried. A hush. Steel rang free. Ned's hammering heart became a drum. The blade fell, or so it seemed. A clang of impact, crowd to gasp, a roar of disbelief. But Ned felt no pain, only cold. Moments, or eternities, passed before rough hands seized his shoulders. A burlap shroud covered his face. Somewhere distant, bells tolled for a lord's passing. Then darkness deepened. Rain drummed upon the roof of an abandoned tannery near Cobbler's Square, while lanterns guttered in shuttered windows. Ned awoke upon a straw pallet, stomach churning, mouth parched. A single candle cast long shadows across warped beams. At its foot perched a hooded figure cloaked in gray and green. The face remained concealed, save for a hint of curling auburn beard. "You breathe," the man said, voice low as a grave song. "Who are?" Ned croaked. "A friend to your cause. A man who learned from a king's guard to wear many faces." The stranger eased back his hood. It was not Jaqen H'ghar, nor the spider, nor any sellsword Ned recalled, yet the shape of him seemed fluid, as though the air itself disagreed with sight. "You may name me Sandor Snow or Tom Sevenstrings or no one at all. Names are chains. Let them rust. Where is Varys?" Ned tried to rise. Dizziness buckled him. "Gone to tend other webs. My task was to bear you from Baelor's stones to this den of bark and mildew. You lay like ice for a day and a night. The potion mimics death, yet spares the soul." Nana. Ned's mind swam. He remembered the blade's clang, the surge of horror in the crowd. "They think me dead." Indeed. And a dead man travels unnoticed. "You shall become rumor, then shadow, then whisper." Ned pressed palm to brow, felt clammy sweat. "My daughters," the younger, escaped the city walls 3 nights past, under a mule driver's cloak. The elder remains prisoner but safe, for now. Your survival would imperil her. So you must remain a phantom. Naam. A phantom. The word cut deeper than steel. Winterfell lay hundreds of leagues distant, each league heavy with gold-armored swords seeking Stark blood. Yet phantom he must be, for Arya's sake, for Sansa's, for the North's hope. "What web binds you to me?" Ned asked. The man smiled. "Perhaps I dislike lions gnawing on wolves. Perhaps I owe a debt to men slain by royal decree. Perhaps your brother's eyes once met mine across the Trident's blue." He extended a leather pouch. Inside lay a finely folded strip of black velvet, embroidered with a direwolf so small it might hide beneath a fingernail. "A token that will open certain doors across the river beyond the city. Seek the Brotherhood without banners. Tell them the night grows long and the wolf still hunts." Ned closed fingers around the pouch. He thought of Robb beneath banners of gray and white, somewhere beyond the neck. Thought of Catelyn's grief and Bran's stoic gaze. He was a father still, if father now to ghosts. "Rest," the man urged. "At dusk we depart along forgotten tunnels older than Aegon's dream. The city is stone, but stone is honeycombed with ratapaths." "Then?" Ned let his head fall back. Candlelight shimmered, and within it he glimpsed path after path branching into dark beyond dark. Thieves' vaults beneath Flea Bottom, catacombs twisting toward Blackwater's murk, smugglers' holes where secret ships rocked waiting. He might walk unseen, yes. Yet every step must be chosen lest darkness swallow him whole. He breathed slow, until heart and torch beat as one. Somewhere water dripped from rafter to pail, marking time's passage measure by measure. Ned counted drops. At 500, he slept. He dreamed of winter wolves racing moonlit snows, an unbroken pack. In the dream he ran beside them, wind in his beard, distant horns calling battle. The wolves halted at a ridge. Beyond, a host of gold armor blazed beneath torchlight. 3 banners: crowned stag, roaring lion, burning red heart. Beneath wolf paws the ridge crumbled, revealing skulls instead of stone. Ned turned, and the wolves were gone, leaving only fresh paw prints already filling with blood. He woke shivering. The tannery lay silent, save for smoldering candle remnants. The hooded man crouched beside a trapdoor pried up from rotted planks. "Dusk comes," he said. "Can you walk?" Ned rose. Weakness tugged at limbs, yet resolve stiffened sinew. "I will." They descended into a tunnel where sewer stink mixed with salt wind. The ceiling sagged low, water lapped at ankles. Ned clutched a torch, the flame hissing as droplets fell. The hooded man led swiftly, treading on stones shaped smooth by centuries of runoff. At each fork he left a chalk mark: a crescent moon, a crossed spear, a wolf's eye. "The city above feasts on rumor of your death," the guide murmured without turning. Ser Ilyn displayed ahead, though scarce anyone sights it closely. The spider arranged for a poor stableman to wear your face. Wax and paint and terror make folk believe what they fear. Stableman. Ned's stomach clenched. What of him? Executed before dawn, then hushed away. A mercy within cruelty. Ned's breath caught. One life bought a chance at many, yet the scales refused to balance. He pressed on. At last the tunnel widened, opening upon a cavern split by rippling black water. A skiff floated tethered to a stone mooring. Lantern light danced across its tarred hull. "Downriver first," the guide said, pushing Ned gently. "Then the Red Fork, then the Trident's quiet reaches. We'll meet friends near Maidenpool." "Rob marches south," Ned muttered. "If war finds us." "War has found us all, my lord. Your task is not to wage it openly, but to shape its tides unseen." They boarded. Oars dipped. The cavern mouth yawned. Beyond lay night, veiled by river fog. As the skiff slid into current, King's Landing's walls receded into silhouette, teeth of a crouching beast against half a shrouded moon. Ned Stark leaned into shadow, removed at last the tatters of his manacled honor. In their place he donned silence sharper than Valyrian steel. Days blurred into currents of brown river water, and low-hung willows as they pushed against streams north and east. Ned kept hood drawn, practicing stillness. At small fishing hamlets they bartered salted eel for bread. At dusk they slept in barns where swallows nested above rafters, wings fluttering like snow flurries, trapped beneath timber sky. On the 6th night, an elk-hide courier awaited them near a ruined sept, bearing news. Robb Stark had won a skirmish at the Green Fork. Tywin Lannister massed legions along the Tumblestone, and Riverlords rallied to the dire wolf banners. The courier also carried a token, a shard of gray stone flecked with white quartz. Ned turned it in his palm, recognizing the pattern, a fragment from Winterfell's broken tower walkway where Bran had fallen. The shard meant hope, whispered across distance. He wanted to ride hard to his son's side, to announce life resurrected. But he was a ghost, and ghosts could not charge at the fore. Instead, he studied parchment maps by firelight, tracing roads Robb might march, river fords men might cross, passes where ravens seldom flew. The hooded man, who now answered to Raven, noted Ned's gaze. "You wish to guide the king in the north." "I wish to protect my son from snares unseen," Ned replied. "Then better tools are needed." Raven produced a folded letter, sealed with dripped wax shaped into a tree of 9 eyes, the sigil of the Brotherhood's secret scribes. "Spy masters loyal not to thrones, but to the realms people can feed you word. Yet first you must prove you are more than rumor. Deeds forged in darkness, songs never sung, can shift the board." Ned unsealed the letter. Inside lay lists. Grain hoarded by Lannister quartermasters near Duskendale. Merchants forced to supply crossbows in Harrenhal's shadow. Whispers of bastard knights drawing small folk into hidden camps. Each item pointed to chinks in Lion's armor. Raven's eyes gleamed. "Strike there, and the beast bleeds." Ned folded the paper slowly. "How many men do we command?" A dozen blades, 100 bows, 500 hearts ready to rise if hope appears. A dozen blades cannot storm Harrenhal, Ned said. But they can light fires in its granaries, break chains from its dungeons, free voices that know where Tywin hides his syllables of fear. Raven shrugged. A shadow need not wield armies, it need only turn the sun behind enemies' eyes. Ned stared into the embers, seeing the faces of men he had judged by daylight. Traitors, deserters, thieves. In darkness they might become allies. Honor's shape had changed. "You have my word," he said at last. "I will be your shadow." The first blow fell at Duskendale, where Lannister guardships awaited grain barges disgorging sacks from the Crownland's harvest. On a moonless hour, Ned and two companions slipped along hulls, slick with algae. They drove spikes through pitch-soaked boards near the waterline and spread lamp oil across decks stacked high with barley. When dawn torches approached, Ned thrust a burning coal into the oil. Flames leapt orange upon gray waves. Sailors shrieked, casks burst, black smoke coiled skyward, scribbling direwolf sigils across the dawn. At every fire he lit, Ned murmured a single prayer. "Forgive me for the dead who walk so the living may stand." Grain burned. Horses starved. Tywin's gold-clad vanguard slowed, seeking forage. Word flew northward to Robb's outriders. The lion's belly growls. But each victory tasted bitter. Nights he woke reaching for a phantom sword, ears ringing with screams of men he never saw but knew he had doomed. Raven counseled him. A lord without castle must bear the weight alone. Ned bore it, though his shoulders bowed. The brotherhood grew. Brevity of breath made them rely on symbols. The stitched velvet direwolf token passed from palm to palm. The chalked crescent beneath alley arch. The whispered passphrase, "The wolf still hunts." Across river villages the phrase spread through tavern smoke like spark to tinder. Summer waned. War clutched the realm in iron fingers. At Oxcross, Robb defeated Stafford Lannister. At the fords, Edmure Tully held River Run's gates. Yet ravens told of darker tidings. Theon Greyjoy's betrayal. Winterfell afire. Bran and Rickon fled. Ned read the scrolls by firelight, knuckles white. "I must go north," he told Raven. "Your Wolf King needs you more than burned walls," the guide replied. "My sons need their father," Ned answered. "Even a ghost may guard them in dark." Raven's silence lasted long heartbeats. At last he reached into his cloak and drew forth a dagger. Pale steel, edge rippling with Valyrian waves. "Carry this," he said. "It holds no name yet. Give it one when it tastes the blood that matters." Ned weighed the blade. It balanced like thought between regret and resolve. He sheathed it unseen. They planned the northward journey. Slip past Frey watchfires at Twins. Barter passage through neck swamps with reed guides. Veer over Flint Hills to skirt Bolton patrols. "The bastard of Dreadfort hunts like a hound starved," they warned. He flays truth from travelers. Ned clenched jaw. Memories of Rickard Stark's screams in Mad King's throne room twisted old wounds anew. Before departure he penned 3 letters in cipher. One to Robb, one to Catelyn, if she yet lived, one to Stannis Baratheon, whose claim to Iron Throne Ned had once championed in doomed honesty. He sealed them with direwolf wax and gave them to Brotherhood runners. At dawn they rode north in silence. 4 shadows upon half-broken horses. Morning mist shrouded them. Dew gems glittered on bracken leaves. Somewhere a lark sang. Ned drank the sound like sweet water. It reminded him that life, not vengeance, must shape his blade's arc. The neck tested them. Rains turned causeways to quagmires. Will-o'-wisps danced across bog pools, hungry for fools. Yet Mira Reed and her brother Jojen led true. They recognized Ned at once, though his beard grew wild. His eyes remained those of the man who had once ridden south with Howland to face tournament nights at Harrenhal. In a mossy hut, lit by Green's World candles, Mira bandaged Ned's arrow graze, earned skirmishing with Frey outriders. Jojen, eyes clouded with half-seen visions, spoke soft. "Your son walks paths of sword and sorrow. Yet the heart of the north still beats. To reach it, you must pass unseen through Bolton's snares. Snow and silence will hide us. Ned said. Not snow enough, Jojen whispered. Some snares are woven of blood. They left at dusk. Ned felt the land change beneath hooves, the southern softness giving way to stony moor, the air sharpening, the sky opening wide as northern hearts. Each league north strengthened him. Yet dread grew too. Winterfell's ruins haunted star-shadowed dreams. 30 leagues shy of Moat Cailin. They crossed tracks of fresh riders, flayed man banners, crimson on brown. Raven scouted ahead, returning with voice taut. Bolton men scour for deserters. They ride 6 to a patrol. 1 patrol camps beyond the ridge tonight. Then they bar the road, Ned said. We cannot outrun them burdened with reed wagons. Then we become night itself, Raven answered. They crept upon the camp after moonset. Ned's new dagger tasted air first, slicing ropes that tethered horses. The animals snorted, bolting into dark. Raven cut throats while Ned stifled cries. Only one Bolton remained, bandy-legged, half awake. He lunged. Ned parried, then reversed, pommel to temple. The man slumped unconscious. Mira Reed frowned. Leave him. He will raise alarm, Raven warned. Ned knelt beside the captive. Moonlight revealed cheeks, scarred by old lashings, eyes crusted with fear. Younger than Rob. Ned bound the lad's wrists, gagged him, dragged him behind brush. At dawn someone will find him, he said. Let him tell the tale. Shadows fell but spared him. Bolton cruelty earned no loyalty. No loyalty, Raven echoed. In the hush that followed, Ned felt something shift. The realization that every mercy became a blade, turned toward tyranny. The lad's frightened confession might sow doubt among flayed men. Hope might breed within fear's husk. When Moat Cailin's broken towers finally loomed, dawn-glazed stones with pale fire, Ned's party skirted moss-slick walls, entering tunnels known only to iron-born centuries dead. They climbed stairwells littered by raven-colored feathers and emerged upon crumbling parapets. From here Ned beheld the north's vast emptiness stretching to horizon. Pine-tufted hills, silver rivers twisting like sword scars upon land's hide, lonely clouds drifting low as watchful hawks. His breath caught. For a heartbeat, he felt the boy who had raced through white birch groves chasing Benjen's laughter. The boy who had sworn to protect those who could not protect themselves. Ghost and Lord both. He clutched the parapet stone and vowed silently, I will not rest until my children stand safe beneath wolf banners once more. Below, wind stirred, tattered gong banners left by some forgotten garrison. They snapped like echoing war drums. Raven joined him. Beyond fever bogs and broken towers lies your heart, he said. Are you ready to wield it? Ned's answer was a whisper lost to wind, yet in its hush the stones themselves seemed to listen. A-N. The wind had a sailor's edge that night, briny and cold, sluicing through shattered arrow slits of Moat Cailin's oldest tower. Ned Stark lingered by a window shaped like a wolf's head, with one stone ear long since crumbled, while Raven coiled rope for the descent. Moonlight silver-washed the desolation. Tumbled down keep squatting in knee-deep reeds, causeway stones listing like drunkards, wagon ruts half flooded by black water. Farther north, the pines caught starlight and stood massed like silent spears. He had forgotten how vast the north felt, how a man might ride for days and still swear he had not moved at all, as if the land itself breathed slow and deep beneath him. Listening now, Ned fancied he could hear that breath, a distant hush rolling over fen and field, the great cold lungs of home drawing in. We have 2 hours before dawn, Raven murmured. Southron patrols will see nothing in this dark, but once the sun rises we'll have banners on our backs. We'll not be here to greet them, Ned said, pulling the cowl low over his beard. The reeds are too treacherous for pursuit. He spoke with the iron certainty of a man who knew these marshes the way a raven knows the wind. Yet doubt stirred like silt. His mind tallied dangers. Arya prowling roads somewhere between Trident and Neck. Sansa trapped with lions. Bran and Rickon lost. Robb marching deeper into the lion's jaws. Catelyn racing from council to council, seeking allies worth the name. Winterfell lay blackened by ironborn treachery, and Bolton knives gleamed in every shadow. One man, even a man back from the grave, could not mend all wounds. But he could choose where to place the needle first. North, he murmured. To the dreadfort. Ka. They took a skiff by moon gleam down the fever water creeks, poles knocking softly against rotted piles. Mira Reed, guided by stars, stitched faint above the low mist. Jojen dozed with brow slick and feverish. Green dreams left the boy spent as a burned wick. Raven rode in silence. His shadow stretched huge across rippling dark. Ned kept lookout from the prow, dagger loose in numb fingers. Each hiss of the marsh, each distant splash, jolted his senses sharp. He counted the fragrances of home. Peat smoke on fitful breeze, lily rot, the pepper sting of marsh mint crushed beneath their hull. All of it formed a tapestry of belonging he dared not embrace. Ghosts wear no skin, and memories weigh heavier than chainmail. By dawn, they reached a low spit of muddy land, where mule carts waited under tarred canvas. Tracks wound north into gray grass and thickets of alder. Reed guides would melt away once Ned rode onward. Swamp is kin to their blood, but Bolton ridges were another beast entirely. An old woman with a spine bent like a shepherd's crook met them at the carts. Her hair hung in knitted ropes, more moss than gray, and her teeth were small white stones set in a muddy bank. She lifted one trembling hand and pressed it to Ned's jaw. "You smelled of death when I saw you last, Lord Stark," she rasped. "Now you smell of hoarfrost and hunger. Good. Ice wakes sleeping wolves. Neshsul." He recognized her. Grey Jenny of the Neck, rumored to have nursed Howland's father on Spirit Wart, when the Cranaglord lay dying of snakebite. Jenny bowed to no lord. "You know my road," Ned said. "Eh." "Stone Road first. Stoneheart's next. The bastard of Bolton's hunts running red along the weeping water. You'll smell the flay smoke before you spy the towers." She pressed a bundle wrapped in oiled deerskin into his grip. "Bog pepper and widow's bloodleaf. Brew it fast if spears slice you. Slows the bleeding, numbs the pain." He accepted with solemn nod. "The old gods witness your gift. They witness everything, Stark, and they remember debts." Her eyes glinted. "Tell the heart tree at Winterfell Grey Jenny still carries songs for its ravens." Without another word she shuffled away, swallowed by reed thickets. Dal Ain Kawa. The ride north unfolded in grim, deliberate silence. Ned and Raven each took a cart, cloaked as common drovers, straw hats shadowing faces. Mira rode the lead mule. Her brother lay swaddled in hides among turnip sacks, shivering even when noon sun bit mild through rags of cloud. The King's Road had once been a spine of trade and gossip, but war turned it into a carrion row. Empty farmsteads sagged behind weed-choked hedges. Charred orchards stretched like blackened claws toward the sky. Where stream culverts collapsed, crude plank bridges spanned gaps. A freight tax collector waited at one such crossing, demanding coin or hostage surety. Mira's frog spear flashed. The man's pouch fell into marsh water while he yelped with a blade prick to the buttock. Violence brief as summer lightning, deadly as serpent fang. That night they sheltered beneath the roots of a toppled weirwood whose milky bark lay scored by axe strokes. Bolton men hacked down heart trees to break small folk faith, or so rumor whispered. Ned traced the rings where sap oozed pinkish like tears. He wanted to promise vengeance, but vengeance without victory was breath in a blizzard. Raven studied maps by firelight, finger-tapping borderlands between Hornwood and Bolton de Mesnay. Carhold outriders report skirmishes here. Tap. And here. Roose Bolton flies banners of fealty to your son, yet his bastard leads hunts that pillage Karstar crofts. Roose has two faces, Ned muttered. One smiles in daylight, the other feeds on screams at dusk. He knew the man. Calm, cold as still water, a patience that outlasted memory itself. Tywin Lannister would gut you with bright steel. Roose would drain you drop by drop until you thanked him for final mercy. "The dreadfort keeps 30 men-at-arms in the field," Raven went on, "plus kennel masters and half-bastard killers. Too many for 4. We won't meet them on open field. Ned's eyes flicked to Mira, just returned from setting trip alarms of bone chimes. We need one prisoner with a tongue still whole. Proof. Proof to hurl before Rob to tear Bolton's mask away. Risky, Mira said, smearing mud across spear haft to deaden shine. Bolton patrols ride in pairs of 6, as your friend said, each man eager to outdo cruelty of the next. Ned flexed stiff fingers. Cruelty often robs caution. They planned beneath the dead tree's hollow. Voices hushed amid sap scent and drifting soot of their meager fire. By moonrise all agreed. 2 nights hence, at Stranger's Wash where patrols watered hounds, they would drag one hunter from saddle and bleed truth from his fear. All. When river fog smothered Stranger's Wash, a shivering veil lit only by ghost-pale stars overhead. Ned crouched among bulrushes, cold seeped through leather, dagger hilt slick in palm. He heard them before he saw them. Hounds baying low, nosing under fern. Horses snorting. Riders laughing over some jest about flaying septons for their soft pink lungs. Torch glow started as amber smears, then blossomed into fire halos rolling through mist. 6 men, as promised. Sigils on shields half hidden, but the bastard's crimson man was clear enough on brigandine studs. One rider dismounted, unlaced hose to piss into the bank, another followed, tossing hunk of bread to dogs. The hounds sniffed, hackles twisting. Something in the reedy hush pierced their blood sense. Raven's arrow took the first rider through throat, killing laughter in a wet gargle. Mira's spear skewered torchbearer, flame tumbling into mud with hiss. Ned sprang, dagger flashing. Blade found gap at armpit, slipped deep. He shoved the corpse aside and turned on the piss rider still fumbling breeches. The man gaped, pulled knife. But Mira tackled him, haft crunching jaw. 3 remained. 1 bolted back atop his mount. Raven's second shaft missed, thudding wood. The hounds erupted howls and scattered. Ned seized Mira's captive. The man's eyes rolled whites. Alive, Ned grunted. A whistle blast sliced air. Raven's signal. The rider who fled circled wide, returning with crossbow raised. Ned thrust prisoner before him as shield. Bolt thunked into captive's shoulder. Screech, curse, blood, dawed. Raven loosed a final arrow. Horse reared and dumped crossbowman to mud where spear tip awaited. Fog swallowed last echoes. Silenced, Stranger's Wash smelled of wet moss and copper. Mira bound the wounded prisoner with eel rope, while Ned checked pulses. Dead, dead, dying. Raven retrieved arrows, wiping heads on cloak fringe. The captive trembled, bolt buried shallow under collar. Mercy, he rasped. You ride for Ramsay Snow? Ned had asked, voice low as rotted ice. I ride for the flayed man. Orders from the Lord. The Lord? Pain cut words. Mira twisted rope, he yelped. Ramsay's orders? Ned repeated. We hunt runaways, gather girls for the bastard's kennels, flay Karstark traitors. Spittle drooled down beard. The young wolf knows naught. No subtitle could name the fury burst inside Ned's chest. It burned yet left face stone still. What proof of Ramsay's cruelty would make the northern lords heed? The man laughed, a cracked bark. Proof? They ken it, but they fear. Mira struck him silent with spear butt. We have proof enough, Raven muttered, toeing the dead crossbowman. Collar of pale flesh, pierced by dog's bite marks. Sansa's life buys Ruse's mask, Ned said. But Ramsay's mask we shall peel. He knelt near prisoner, drawing bog pepper salve. This will keep you breathing, he warned. Pain will return if lies past your lips. Salve sizzled on the wound. Prisoner shrieked, then sagged. Raven bound gag. River boats south then. Escape routes mattered. Bolton Avengers would swarm these fens by sunrise. Not south, Ned answered. East. Barrowlands. We ride for Lady Barbary Dustin. Her hatred for my house may be cooled by Bolton treachery that rots even her husband's grave. Risky diplomacy, Raven noted. Wolves dare winter, Ned replied. Annie-Coro, the prisoner, whose name turned out to be Dren Fisk, traveled bound in rear cart. fevered groans muffled by cloth. Raven doctored him with honey boiled in bog pepper leaf, enough to keep him lucid but pliant. Each day Ned questioned. Each night he tallied answers against memory. Patterns emerged. Ramsay's men flayed farmers at Flintfield for hiding 2 girls. They burned a Karstark hamlet after harboring deserters who were in truth small folk fleeing war taxes. They sewed a baker's daughter into a sack with starving weasels because she'd laughed when a dog bit Ramsay's boot. Ned's stomach knotted. This was Roos's bastard unleashed, while Roos whispered fealty at Robb's war councils. When Ned asked about Winterfell's sacking, Fisk spat. Ironborn lit the fires, but Ramsay let them burn on. Said ashes make softer graves. Soft graves for Starks. Ned's pulse thundered like war drums. Past the west-lying ridge where Barotten's grassy tombs rose, they found banners of Lady Dustin snapping before timber palisade. No warm welcome awaited. The Dustin Guard aimed arbalests before allowing entry. But Ned's velvet direwolf token bought parley. Rumor of a ghost wolf preceded him. Lady Barbary Dustin sat in a hall walled by horse skulls, fires casting teeth into yellow grin. Her eyes were hard amber jewels. She eyed Ned's hooded face with cool disdain that cracked only when he drew Dren Fisk's confession scrolls, and the man himself. Chain hobbled. Highness crimes, Barbary said, voice smooth as polished horn. Yet I've heard worse from Bolton lips. Why bring them to me? Because the young wolf trusts Bolton, Ned answered, dropping hood. The hall gasped. Because Lady Dustin has no love for me, but she loves the North more than Bolton knives. Shock flickered. Stark thought dead stood breathing. Barbary's mouth parted, then curved into a smile edged like broken glass. Eddard Stark. Back from the headsman's block? The gods have twisted humor. She paced before prisoner. This wretch implicates Ramsay, but Roose wears courtesy as plate. He will blame the bastard's zeal. Roose sent him loose, Ned growled. He counts each skin while swearing loyalty. We need your riders, my lady. Barrow knights to seal Dreadfort from behind while Robb musters openly. Quiet strikes swift. The bastard's packs scatter when tether cut. She studied him, torchlight flickering across cheekbones. I would see Bolton humbled. Yet if I side with a dead man, I wager all on rumor. Nay! Ned produced a ring worked of carved weirwood encircling iron. A marriage band he had given Catelyn on their wedding night, lost in King's Landing dungeon, then smuggled by Varys to Raven. The mother of wolves lives still, he said, setting ring in her palm. And she will remember those who stood with her house when ghosts came calling. Barbary closed fingers. My feud was with you, not your lady. Very well. She turned to her captain. Gather 30 riders, no banners. The dead ride tonight. Night cloaked their column as they threaded barrow mounds. Hooves muffled by turf. Raven and Mira scouted flank. Ned rode beside Barbary, Fisk bound over packhorse behind. Wind hissed through grass like whispers from the dead kings buried here. Some said those kings rose when dire need called. Ned prayed need enough lay upon the land. Approach to the Weeping Water Valley meant skirting watchtowers manned by Bolton archers. They traveled gulches, forded icy streams, cut across frost-silvered meadows until the red granite bulwarks of Dreadfort rode pale. Barbary's plan. Slip inside slave kennels through wastes, free hounds and captives alike. Sow chaos while her riders cut patrols. Ned confronted Ramses, master of hounds for ledgers, detailed tallies of skins and ransoms. Proof written in Bolton ink. In darkness before dawn they crawled through effluvium stench, so vile Mira gagged. Inside kennels, torchlight cast bars across straw. A stable boy slept curled by mutt. Ned pressed cloth over his mouth, till eyes fluttered shut. Raven worked picks, locks clicked, cages swung open. Half-starved mastiffs slunk out, uncertain. Mira whispered to them, gentle crooning. Dogs sniffed. Tails crept upright. When Raven cut last latch, he barked a hoarse command taught by kennelmaster he once spied. Gassed, break! Mastiffs lunged down corridor, howls splitting night. Prison cells beyond rang with screams. Ned darted through, Mira at heels. They found cowering small folk, ragged, skinned in places, hefted keys, freed them. Many could barely stagger. Others seized rusted chains as cudgels. Up stone stair, past rooms where flaying tools gleamed crimson, Ned located ledger chamber. 2 guards inside, dice clattering on oak. He burst, dagger flashing. Mira felled second with spear butt. Raven followed, binding gags. Ned scanned vellum sheets. Columns of names, crimes, strip portion, bounties. He ripped page after page, rolled into oilskin. Proof enough to wake thunder. Below, chaos raged. Dog packs tearing at mailed legs. Freed captives shrieking vengeance. Dustin riders clashing with watch. Horns brayed on ramparts. Ramsay was away riding, but his steward, Ben Bones, rallied men. Ned and Mira slipped through weaving melee, escorting captives to postern where Barbry's second awaited. By sunrise they vanished beyond treeline, fortress behind them echoing dog howls and distant burning stables. Dreadfort bled confusion. Bolton Honor wore flayed tatters. Nemnishadanwe. Winter's first sting touched the air as they made camp on Pine Ridge overlooking weeping water glints. Mira helped Ned unroll ledger proofs. He rubbed aching eyes and read. 2 Frey squires flayed for japes at Bastard's feast. Skins sent to Lord Walder in lime chimney preserving cask. N. Maester Biggins secrets extracted. Tongue removed. Baker's girl Tansy, sewed with weasels, did not survive. Ironborn prisoners sold to slavers in Skago's timber port. And dozens more. When Raven returned from perimeter, Ned's voice was hoarse. This will damn Roose as surely as any blade. He cannot claim ignorance. But will it save Sansa? Doubt gnawed. Next we ride to the king in the north, Raven said. Time to raise ghosts in daylight. Robb marches on Ashmark, Ned answered. We must reach him first. Ledger scrolls crackled in his grip. By crow, by road, by lightning. Whatever tool Shadow can wield. Lady Barbary joined them, cloak swirling. My riders will escort your proof to Robb's outriders, with Stark letters of seal, and this. She tossed bundle. A flayed man's standard torn and spattered with kennel blood. Let the young king see the color of betrayal. Ned bowed head. You have my thanks. Save thanks till snow melts on my husband's barrow, she said, but hint of a smile touched her. Ride careful, Lord Stark. Dead men seldom enjoy a second resurrection. Okay. 2 days later, high atop the stony Skirl Pass, Ned's company encountered Karstark outriders. Their leader, Harrion Karstark, blinked thrice as if vision betrayed him. When recognition took hold, he dismounted and knelt. Lord Eddard, he murmured. Voice raw dogat. The song said you were slain. Songs lie, Ned replied. Harrion rose. The king in the north must hear this at once. His grace laid siege lines round Ashmark, but Lannister host marches from the west. We ride to reinforce. Then, my path rides with yours. Ned clasped forearm. We carry proof of darker enemy within our own ranks. Harrion's gaze sharpened at ledger scroll. Roose? Roose and his bastard both. This ink bleeds more than any blade. So be it. Harrion turned. Ride. Wands. March to Ashmark proved brutal. Early snow crowned ridges. Roads iced glassy. Jojen's visions returned. Warning of crimson wedding candles and a song with no coda. Ned listened with dread, yet pressed on. On the eve before they reached Robb's camp, ghost light rippled across northern sky. Aurora twisting greenish banners no maester could name. Soldiers gathered outside tents. Hushed, as if old gods painted omens overhead. Ned watched, memories of Winterfell's glass gardens whispering. He prayed for guidance. Morning broke cold and bright. Ashmark's sprawl of siegeworks unfurled below. Timber ramps, ox-drawn trebuchets, campfires smoking blue. Stark banners snapped, gray direwolf on white. When Ned rode through trench lines flanked by Karstark and Dustin escorts, men stared and parted like wheat storm bent. Some sank to knees, some murmured prayers. At the central command pavilion, gray wind's howl rang, and Robb Stark strode out, mail gleaming, crown of iron and bronze on brow. He froze when he beheld his father alive. Wordless, Robb crossed distance and embraced him, helm clanging to earth. Shock gave way to trembling. Ned felt his son's shoulders quake. He held him as once he held a feverish child, stroking hair tangled by war wind. "Ow?" Robb whispered. "Shadow paths, hard roads, and grace of old gods," Ned replied. But stories later. First, betrayal. He passed ledger scrolls. Robb peeled wax, eyes scanning, face paling. Gray wind prowled behind, hackles high. Sensing father yet not father. The wolf circled, sniffed, then settled with low whine. Acceptance. Robb's voice roughened. "If this be true, Roose wears treason on his skin." "It is true," Ned said. Witness Dren Fisk. Guards dragged prisoner forward, chain clank. Fisk crumpled, fear oozing. Robb's council assembled. Great John Umber, Maeg Mormont, Galbart Glover, Edmure Tully newly freed from Westerling Hold. All read proofs, murmurs rising like bees disturbed. "A message must go to every northern banner," Maeg growled. "Bolton blood must answer blood. But we dare not fracture now," Galbart cautioned. "Lannisters press from west." "This cuts both ways," Ned interjected. "If Bolton men desert, lion claws find softer prey. We need them bound or broken, not loose." Robb straightened. "Father, what course?" The title struck Ned like hammer. Tears pricked, yet he spoke steady. "Send secret riders to bear these proofs to every house. Call Bolton to parley under guard. Offer chance to prove loyalty. Deliver Ramsay's head. If Roose stalls, we act." "Roose may play for time," Greatjon snarled. "Better slice the flayed man in twain." "Blood now weakens Sieg," Edmure warned. "Time favors us if Lannisters grow hungry." Ned considered, then bent knee. "My king, grant me command of a vanguard of shadows. I will take Raven, read guides, Barbray's riders. We slip into Dreadfort again, but for Roose this time. Proof in ink is one weight. Proof in chains is heavier." "Bent one." Robb's jaw clenched. "You were robbed of all rest, yet you volunteered the deadliest path." "Ghosts fear no graves," Ned answered. Silence stretched. Council watched father and son, old wolf and young. Finally Robb drew sword, angled tip toward earth. "Very well. I name Eddard Starkhand to the king in the north, sworn to act where blades of honor cannot. Go, and may the old gods guide your step." Ned rose, surprise vibrating through marrow. Hand once condemned now, reborn in new realm. He clasped Robb's forearm, king clasped father's. No words. A call. That night Ned sat by pine-fed flame outside Robb's pavilion. Raven sharpened arrows nearby. Mira stewed hair for Jojen, who stared glassy-eyed into nothing. Captain swapped boasts at other fires, oblivious to constellations shifting. Gray wind approached, massive, silver-gray, eyes pale gold. Wolf sniffed, then settled beside Ned. Head atop paws. Ned dared stroke fur. The beast accepted. Heat of living breath warmed chilled fingers. In that simple grace, Ned found quiet. He thought of Sansa in Red Keep, Arya hiding blade in rags, Bran dreaming of three-eyed gods, Rickon clinging to shaggy direwolf, Catelyn riding river roads pleading for alliances. Families scattered like seeds upon storm, yet seeds sprout even in charred fields when rain arrives. Ned looked to sky where Aurora faintly lingered and whispered, "Rain is coming, my loves. Hold fast." Nayani. Kai. Before dawn, Ned's vanguard prepared. 20 Dustin riders, 6 Karstark scouts, Reed siblings, Raven the Silent, and a dozen freed captives sworn to vengeance. Gray cloaks over mail, no sigils but a small direwolf pin each conceal. They would ride northeast under cover of Lannister distraction, circle Dreadfort again while Roose still believed himself Tommen's warden or Robb's ally. Speed and stealth above all. Robb clasped Ned one last time. "When this ends, we will feast at Winterfell rebuilt." "We will," Ned promised, though flames of home still haunted dreams. They rode out as red dawn streaked eastern sky. Crows caught on black branches, countless watchers. Ned felt the weight of their gaze, as if old gods perched upon each wing. He was a ghost given purpose, a shadow wielding ice disguised as flesh. Road dust rose around them, glimmering crimson in dawnlight. Each hoofbeat drummed, "The wolf still hunts, the wolf still hunts." And somewhere far south, in a city of red stone and sharper tongues, a queen held his daughter captive, unaware that the ghost she tried to bury now rode the wind, carrying winter in his wake. And miles later, as sun climbed pale and cold, Raven edged his horse closer. "A hand reborn bears weight thrice its size. Will you carry it?" Ned studied the ribbon of ice-rimmed river ahead, its current swift yet silent. "If I falter, remind me of the stableman who died, so I might breathe." Raven nodded. "Ghosts remember debts." "Then whisper also of Sansa's chains, Arya's road and Winterfell's burnt stones," Ned said, spurring mount into fresh snow. "Let debt drive every stride." So they rode, a silent storm cresting over frost-clad fields, bound for one last reckoning beneath the flayed man's towers, where shadow would confront flare and winters, true teeth would bite. Words unspoken hung in brittle air, that this war of masks had only begun, that steel might fail where secrets cut deeper, that a father's love could outwit death twice yet still pay price. But Ned carried those truths quietly, as he carried the dagger with no name, waiting for blood that mattered. The road stretched north, white and unforgiving, and at its far horizon loomed dusk-blue outlines of dread walls. Above them all, gray clouds gathered like wolves answering a silent call. And somewhere in those clouds, Ned felt, Winter's heart kept time with his own, cold, steadfast, relentless. The hunt continued. Night muffled the war camp after Ned's vanguard slipped away, leaving Ashmark's siege lines glowing like a distant ember behind them. The column pressed northeast beneath a sky of torn black velvet stitched by hard stars. Frost formed on manes and cloaks before midnight. Leather creaked and reins crackled when touched. They spoke little. Each rider bore a piece of the silence, and the silence weighed more than mail. The first lead passed along a goat track chiseled into the shoulder of Mount Hornglass. Pine boughs hung over the path, shedding powdery snow in slow cascades that hissed upon lantern hoods. The air smelled of sap and cold stone. Ned rode at the center, gray wind pacing just ahead. Shadow and silver merged. Mira Reed led point with a two-pronged frog spear cut down to javelin length. Raven ghosted rear guard, cloak blending with spruce bark so well he seemed to disappear between heartbeats. An hour before dawn they descended into a cleft where hot springs sent coiling ribbons of mist across snow. They watered horses in pools edged by gray limestone. Steam melted frost from whiskers and mane. Warm air filled lungs raw from winter's knives. Ned knelt to scoop handfuls of iron-tinged water, watching it smoke in the moonlight. In the rippling surface he saw the reflection of an older man than he remembered. Hair a mat of iron threads, beard ragged, eyes hollowed by too many graves, yet the line of his jaw still held Winterfell's granite. He drank. Jojen stirred from the supply sled where he lay under furs. His voice, thin yet urgent, drifted across the vapors. The candles burn. Red, red, and the music stops. Pupils swam green gold, unfixed. Mira laid a hand on his brow and murmured, but Jojen shook his head. Wrong way. Salt on snow. Father made of smoke. Ned rose, wiping palms on cloak. Dreams. Warnings. Mira's sigh hung in air. He sees knives behind banners. But which banners we can never know until blood falls. Raven tightened saddle straps. Then we step where blood may yet be our own choosing. Gray wind, lifted muzzle, ears pricking. Ned paused, listening. A distant drumbeat carried on the mountain wind. Hoofbeats perhaps, muffled beneath trees. He signaled silence. Torches were doused. Men crouched among stones. The rhythm passed above along ridgetop, receding toward south. Scouts, maybe Lannister outriders seeking word of their king, or something worse. A shadow chasing a shadow. When the echo faded, they remounted and wound east through a long defile opening upon the high moor grazing lands of the Barrowlands. Dawn's first gray smudged horizon. Pale light spilled behind them, casting their own silhouettes huge across the snow layers. Ned felt like a specter leading specters. No birds called. Only the crunch of hooves broke the hush. The day stretched into a long march through rolling white fields punctuated by stone barrows, veiled in drifting sheets of snow. Each barrow rose like the hump of a slumbering giant, glazed with hoarfrost that shimmered when daylight finally crested the cloud bank. Lady Barbrae's riders peeled away one by one here, veering back toward their ladies' hall to mislead any pursuers. The rest, and Shadow Host, pressed northeast toward the lonely hills in the Umber border. By midday the wind sharpened to a blade. Snowflakes whirled sideways, stinging eyes and scouring exposed skin raw da-da. They made for a stand of dour fir, clustered around a low tor of granite. Beneath the trees the snow lay shallow. A partially roofed charcoal burner's hut leaned against the rock. They tethered horses under the lee and lit a modest fire using char chips left by the hut's former occupant. Sparks crackled upward into the branches. Ned unfolded parchment to study their course. 2 days' ride brought them within sight of the weeping water again. Then a half day across the frozen flats to Dreadfort South Palisade, if Roose had not reinforced outer watch camps since the raid. Raven crouched beside him, pointing at small circles drawn in faint ink. "Bolton scouts sit here now," he said. "Caught a puff of chimney smoke my last pass. Could be mere woodcutters, but Roose likes his eyes wide." "Then we skirt east," Ned replied. "Cross the river ice at Crofter's Ford, circle behind the tannery sheds. Still the best path beneath the wall." "And if the ice fails?" Mira asked, passing strips of rabbit jerky around. "We swim fast or freeze slow," Raven answered with the ghost of a grin. Ned was about to speak when Harrion Karstark's younger cousin Burl returned from perimeter watch, cheeks flushed. "Movement on the ridge," he reported. "2 riders, maybe 3. Blue cloaks, silver studs shaped like..." He frowned. "Hard to say. Could be Frey or Flint." Ned motioned for Raven and Mira to join him. Gray wind slipped out between fir trunks, stalking upslope without sound. They climbed after, weaving between rock outcrops crusted in ice. Halfway up, Ned gestured them down behind a snow-draped log. Through the blur of swirling flakes he saw shapes on the crest. 3 horses, one bearing a flutter of striped blue and white cloth. The standard of House Tallheart. Tallheart men were sworn to Winterfell. Relief coursed Ned's veins, though caution followed swiftly. He rose, palms empty, cloak parted to reveal direwolf pin. "Halloo," he called in a low tone pitched to carry. The figures started. One raised a gloved hand. They edged closer. When within arrow shot, the lead rider pushed back his hood to reveal a narrow weather-burnt face framed by curls of frost-stiff beard. "Lord Eddard," he breathed. Ned inclined his head. "You have the look of Sir Helmund's kin." "I am Torgon Tallheart, my lord. My father rides with Lord Robert Glover near Seagard. We heard whispers that the Wolf of Winterfell walked again." His eyes shone wet. "I scarcely dared hope." "Hope alone will not guard the north," Ned said. "What brings you here?" "A message for the young wolf at Ashmark. Lannister outriders burned settlements on the coast. But we were turned back by fires along the causeway. Our rear ranks vanished 2 dawns ago. Bolton men, we fear." Torgon's lip curled. "The bastard flays without banner now." "Ride with us," Ned said. "We strike Bolton at his heart." Torgon exchanged looks with his comrades. "Gladly," he answered. "My sword for Winterfell, as ever." Back at Camp Jojen muttered feverishly but clearer than before. "Knives in ale. Saltman feast." The vows break threefold. Ned placed a damp cloth on his brow. The boy's visions gnawed like rats on rope. Each frayed thread might hold a kingdom's weight, yet there was no turning aside now. They rode until dusk, crossing into the stunted birch woods at the headwaters of the Weeping Water. Here the river Birth was a mere stream curling beneath crusted layers of ice. The basin funneled wind that keened like lost children. Torches were banned. They traveled by wolf eyes and starlight, navigating between skeletal trunks whose bark peeled like old parchment. Twice Ned halted them to crouch and feel the earth. Vibrations faint but distinct, other riders moving parallel, perhaps a mile west. That night, they bivouacked in a hollow shielded from wind by a tumble of limestone slabs. Horses were blanketed and fed oats sparingly. Their breaths steamed bright in the gloom. Gray wind patrolled perimeter, a gray wraith gliding in and out of firelight. Ned sat carving slivers of pine for kindling, letting the repetitive motion quiet the storm of thoughts. Roose Bolton, patient spider at the center of this drafty web, would not be taken easily. He might already suspect Ned's survival. Word of Rob's sudden war council could have flown south on raven wings. Yet Roose's nature favored caution over rashness. He would wait, gather, flay for certainty. That wait might be their wedge. Harry and Karstark approached, settling on haunches. "My lord, the men still ask if we leave letters behind, in case we fail." His voice caught on the last word. Ned considered the snow falling silent beyond the fire's low glow. "Aye. Let each man write his words. I will see them carried south if I draw breath after. And if you do not, then may the wind bear them to the gods." Ned bit the pine shaving. "But we will draw breath, Harrian. We must." Later, when most had dozed, Ned penned his own letter using Maester's charcoal on a scrap of lambskin gleaned from the supply kit. He wrote to Caitlin, "My dearest heart, if this letter finds you, know I walk paths no man should tread yet cannot turn aside. Our children light those paths even when dark seems boundless. I carry them in every beat. Should I fall, remember my love held you to my last thought, and that the North remembers. Hold fast. Eddard Andalon." He folded the scrap and tucked it into the lining of his jerkin. The gesture felt smaller than a prayer, but heavier than armor. Snow deepened overnight until dawn rose pale and quiet, a new world smooth beneath a white quilt. They broke camp at once, muffled and wary. The Weeping Water here was a swath of glinting ice, perhaps 40 feet across, its central braid still sluggishly moving beneath translucent crust. Ned tested thickness with spear butt. It did not crack. The party crossed single file, leading mounts. Midway, a groan issued from the ice, low, drawn out like an animal waking. Gray wind bristled. Ned motioned haste. They reached opposite bank as a section splintered behind, sending a hush of black water to froth up before freezing again. They ghosted through low hills where gnarled ironwood roots clawed from snow. Atop the final rise, Dreadfort's towers appeared, stark against steel sky. Two massive square keeps linked by curtain walls paved in pinkish stone. Crenellations jagged-toothed. Smoke curled from chimneys within. Yellow torch points dotted parapets. Beyond the walls, Ned saw no movement, too still. He smelled the trap. They withdrew to a clump of alder to plan. Raven unfurled a crude floor sketch gleaned from the kennelmaster's stolen keys months ago. Go. "Waste loose here." He indicated a rectangle in western wall abutting the tannery sheds. "Grates replaced after our raid, but blacksmith's work looked rushed. I can pry bars if noise covered." "Noise we can supply," Torgan said. "Tall heart bows will strike North Gatehouse." Feigned assault, quick and loud. Ned shook head. Roose expects frontal distractions. A better ruse is quiet confusion. "Smoke without flame. We fire the lime pits in tannery. Thick stink will spill into inner yard and blind archers." Mira nodded. "I know that stink. Flayed flesh falls even hounds back from it." Jojen, pale but lucid, struggled upright against sled rail. In the smoke the stranger with pale eyes waits. One face, two shadows darting all. He shivered. Beware smiles. Ned laid a hand on the boy's shoulder. We will. Preparations took an hour. Karstark scouts filtered toward the northern forest to sever any courier ravens bound for the wall tower. Tallheart men soaked linen in lamp oil, wound strips around short-shaft javelins' teeth. Mira mixed powdered lime with pitch in clay jars. Raven selected slenderbone lockpicks and tucked them into his sleeve. When sun zagged west in reddening haze, the assault began. Torgon and 2 archers crawled near the tanner's yard, scaling a low service ladder to an exterior platform piled with bark tubs. One slinged pot soared, shattering against lime pit timbers. Another followed. Raven hurled a torch. A bloom of orange flared, devoured pitch, and belched a plume of gray vomit smoke that rolled across the yard, curling under gateways and climbing ramparts. Alarm bells clanged inside. Ned and Grey Wind led the infiltration team along the wall's shadow, using smoke swirl as veil. At the waist, Sluice Raven pried at fresh bars, not iron but bundled oak stakes hammered in and tar-pitched. He hissed a curse and produced a bone saw. Ned steadied him while Mira pressed damp cloth across Drenfisk's mouth to mute whimpering. The prisoner had been dragged along as living testimony should Bolton soldiers intercept. Saw teeth chewed. Stakes creaked. Sagged. Ned's heart hammered louder than bells. Onward. Raven twisted, yanked. The center stake snapped with muffled crack. One by one the barrier gave way. Grey Wind slunk through first, tail low. Ned followed, half crawling in ankle-deep filth. Knives clenched. The stench clutched throat like fingers. He swallowed bile. The sluice fed into a draining culvert that angled upward then split. One arm joined kennels. The other wound toward crypt cellars, where Roos kept wine and trophies. They veered left, ascending a narrow service stair. Smoke seeped even here, dimming lanterns to hazy halos. Voices shouted overhead, distorted. On cellar landing they paused. Raven fished out lockpicks, worked iron hasp. The door swung inward to reveal long corridor, lined with alcoves curtained by heavy drapery. Sconces flickered, painting walls in sickly yellow glow. From one alcove came muffled sobs. Mira tugged curtain aside. A young man in torn brown surcoat hung by wrists from chains, feet barely touching floor. Flay stripes crossed chest, but he lived. Ned lowered him gently. Name? Ben Sharp. Stable hand. His lips quivered. Fear glazed his stare. They said, "Flay me slow next." "Can you stand?" Ned asked. The boy nodded shakily. Mira pressed a strip of cloth to his wounds, tied quick. "Stay behind us," Ned ordered. The freed captives passed Ben a club and half-dragged him along. They advanced, hugging walls. At corridor end lay a heavy oaken door cracked open. Through gap, Ned glimpsed torchlight and heard low voices. Said he'd return by dusk. Lord Bolton's orders, not ours. The Lord can bugger a goat. Smoke's choking my lungs. If hounds turn rabbit again. Hush. Footsteps. Raven gestured 3 fingers. Ned signaled count. 1, 2, 3. Grey Wind burst through first with snarl. Men inside shouted. Ned followed, sword flashing. The first guard fell, throat parted. Mira's spear jerked sideways, catching second man between ribs. A third retreated, tripped over trestle, scrabbled for horn. Raven flung knife, thunk into neck. The man gurgled. Horn clattered from limp fingers. When silence returned, Ned surveyed chamber. A storeroom hung with half-tanned skins. Shelves stacked with ledgers. The air reeked of iron and hair. He scanned spines until a thick leather folio, embossed with flayed man seal, caught his eye. Inside, fresh quills marked parchment. Troop rosters, raven codes. Dispatch sealed for Sir Aenys Frey at the Twins. He broke wax, quickly read. The note detailed movement orders for 400 Bolton spears to depart on the morrow, to attend the wedding feast at the Twins upon Lord Walder's invitation, per King's peace. Heart lurched. Jojen's red candle vision. Ned stuffed dispatch into tunic. We take Roos alive if present. If gone, these papers ride south tonight. Footsteps pounded from rear stair. Ned motioned ambush. They flattened behind hanging skins. Door banged open. 2 men coughed through smoke swirl. Before they cleared vision, Ned and Raven struck. Brief struggle. Ended quiet. Beyond stair, the passage curved. Broader. Carpeted by dark runner fringed with pink thread. Atop half-flight, they encountered first resistance proper. 6 Bolton household guards in full ring mail. Half-helms with narrow eye slits. Captain barked, "Stand!" Swords rasped. Gray wind lunged but recoiled, battered by spear hafts. Ned charged to engage the captain, parrying heavy downward slice. Riposted with upward arc that carved shallow cut along thigh. Torgen Talhart stabbed another guard through belly. A third delivered hammering blow against Ned's shoulder. Mail absorbed most, but bones sang. Harrion Karstark felled one with axe to skull. Blood sprayed wall. Captain retreated 2 paces, then blew a silver whistle. From the corridor's far mouth advanced a tall, gaunt man in gray cloak, fastened by blue gem. His face pale, eyes hooded. Roose Bolton himself. He stepped forward calm as winter water. Voice soft. "Lord Stark, I had wondered when your ghost would darken my halls." Ned faced him, breathing hard. "Your mask cracks, Roose. Surrender and answer for crimes against North." Roose regarded the corpses with faint distaste. "Crimes? I have only carried the weight your son laid upon my shoulders. War chaos. Skins peel easier than illusions." His gaze flicked to ledger under Ned's arm. "You stole my books. Ink is wind, Lord Eddard. Fear is stone." "Then let stone speak in Rob's court," Ned said, raising blade. Roose smiled thinly. "Do you truly think the boy will live to hold court much longer?" "Even now." He rides toward a noose woven of music and bread. "Stark honor will dine with Frey treachery before the moon is new." Ned's chest iced. He stepped closer. "You sent spears to the twins, I know. To see proper vows upheld. A wedding deserves witness." Roose cocked head, "Die. Why not journey there yourself? You might even hear the song they choose to greet you. Something crimson, perhaps." Raven notched arrow, but Roose lifted a gloved hand. From side corridor, 3 crossbowmen emerged, quarrels drawn, aiming at Ned's company. Roose's calm voice floated. "Lay down arms, or Dreadfort's wall shall taste Karstark and Talhart blood." Steel scraped stone as tension rose. Harrion flicked gaze to Ned. Mira's knuckles whitening on spear haft. Jojen behind them, swaying, eyes wide. Ned spoke slowly. "If you kill us, you birth 100,000 wolves thirsty for Bolton blood. The North will hunt you to World's Edge." Rue's eyes half-lidded. "Perhaps, but war wearies beasts. Hunger tames them. And winter will flay them all." A horn sounded from outer ward, a long bone note. Ruzi's mouth tightened. What now? Through window slit, Ned glimpsed orange flare. Tannery smoke again, denser. Torgen grinned. Talhart mischief. Chaos brewed outside. Freed hounds roamed yard once more, snapping at retreating guards. Somebody had loosed the stables. Horses stampeded through gatehouse, scattering pikemen. The crossbowman faltered. Ned lunged at that breath of hesitation. His sword found chest of leftmost arbalester, punching through boiled leather. Gray wind barreled into second, jaws crushing forearm. Harrion hurled axe, third fell before firing. Roose glided backward, robes swirling like shadows on ice. He vanished around corner. After him, Ned shouted. They pursued through twisting corridors, up spiral stair to Great Hall. Smoke seeped from windows, casting hall into eerie half-gloom. Tapestries depicting flayings fluttered in cold drafts. Roose stood upon dais before high-backed chair of pink granite. 10 guards shielded him. Beside chair a younger man lounged with leer. Ramsay Snow returned early, cheeks flushed with excitement, dried blood on gauntlets. Well, well, Ramsay laughed, hacking cough. More skins for the tally. Roose's voice cut him off. Silence and stand ready. Ned's party halted at threshold, outnumbered 2-1. Yet shock lingered on Bolton ranks. Winterfell's lord alive before them, spectral. Ned raised voice. Men of the dreadfort. Your lord serves destruction of North and King in the north. Here's proof. He tore dispatch from tunic, held high. Bolton spears ride to butcher Stark and Tully alike beneath Frey roof. You follow a traitor. Silence rippled. Some guards shifted grips. Ramsay barked laughter. Sweet words. Show them father, and flay them slower. Roose surveyed his men. Doubt sown glimmered in eyes. Ned pressed on. My son offers pardon to any who lay down arms now. Stand aside, and live to see dawn unfettered. A spear clattered to flagstones. Another followed. 3 men stepped back. Ramsay's fury twisted features. He drew dagger and stabbed nearest defector in the neck. Blood arced. Anyone else? Bedlam erupted. Roose stepped aside, folding hands. Guards caught between fear and loyalty broke ranks. Torgon and Harrion surged. Steel rang, screams rose. Spears jabbed, arrows hissed. Grey wind leapt, dragging a man down. Mira parried halberd strike, half-tracking bones. Ned fought toward dais. Ramsay met him in whirl of steel, daggers flashing like shards of night. He was quick, unpredictable. Ned blocked, countered, felt blade nick upper arm. Pain flared warm. Ramsay's grin widened. I'll carve your face for my collection, dead wolf, he hissed. Ned answered with silence, focus narrowing to the dance. Ramsay jabbed throat. Ned sidestepped, caught wrist, twisted. Bone popped. Dagger clanged free. Ramsay screeched, drew second blade with left hand, slashed wild. Ned ducked, slammed pommel into snarling mouth. Teeth cracked. Ramsay stumbled. Across hall Roose strode toward side door, slipping through chaos like wisp of mist. Raven saw, loosed arrow, but shot deflected off bronze sconce. Roose vanished. Ned had no breath to pursue. Ramsay tackled him, blade scraping mail to raise sparks. They rolled across stone. Ramsay's fingers clawed for Ned's eyes. Ned heaved, reversed weight, pinned bastard's arm, drove knee into chest. He wrested dagger free. The unnamed dagger gifted by Raven, and plunged its Valerian edge beneath Ramsay's collarbone. Resistance like gristle, then give. Ramsay's howl curdled air. Ned twisted blade, yanked out. Blood bubbled dark. Ramsay sagged, eyes wide in disbelief, crimson foaming lips. Ned rose, breathing ragged, sword flicking gore. Battle waned as remaining guards flung down weapons or fled. Harrion Karstark dragged wounded aside. Mira checked on Ben Sharp, who clutched slashed forearm but lived. Ned surveyed carnage. Ramsay lay gasping near dais, strength leaking. He knelt beside him. Where is Roose? Ramsay laughed, choking. Gone. To wedding? Song. Blood dribbled. Flay. Them all. Life fled his eyes. Ned closed lids with 2 fingers. Around him, men panted. Hall smoke choked. Torgon bound his arm. We have dreadfort, my lord, yet Roose slips free, and rides to the twins with our doom, Ned whispered. He looked up as Raven approached, bearing bolt of pink cloth. The flayed man's sigil torn from Hall's entrance. Burn this, Ned ordered. Mira joined. Jojen says we must hurry south. Candles burn. Ned nodded. We ride through night. Leave garrison to Tallheart and Karstark volunteers. Free every prisoner, bury each flayed, and send ravens, Bolton treachery laid bare. Grey wind nudged his palm, amber eyes reflecting shattered hall torches. Ned stroked coarse fur. The hunt is not done. They regrouped in courtyard where smoke still roiled from lime pits. Captives cheered as Bolton banners were dragged down. Ned mounted a fresh courser, the ledger folio strapped to saddle. Before departure, he paused beneath central arch. Snow drifted, lit by burning debris. The dreadfort loomed behind, wounded, but not yet fallen. He felt neither triumph nor relief, only urgency. A tide pulling him south toward the twins, toward a feast spun with red thread. He turned to his gathered company. Reed and Karstark, freed small folk, raven-hooded, gray wind alert. We ride to break a song of blood, he said. Spare no gallop, fear no night. The North rides with us unseen. Spurs clanked. Gate chains groaned. The doors opened onto dark forest lane. Ned urged steed forward. Hoofbeats thundered outward, carrying a ghost and his shadows into the cold hush, where tomorrow's fate waited. Half-sung died. As they disappeared among pines, new snow fell, covering prints almost as quickly as they formed, yet not swiftly enough to hide the path of wolves racing against time and treachery, against music that should never be played.